Imagine a future where bloodthirsty aliens wipe out mankind. Soldiers from 2051 burst into the World Cup final, begging for help. Only 20% survive the war. And guess what? You just got drafted. This is the Tomorrow War. In December 2022, Dan Forrester, a biology teacher and former Green Beret, faces a crushing blow. He's just been rejected for a job at a prestigious research center. His hopes for a career change fall apart as he watches the World Cup with family and friends at a Christmas party. The room is filled with laughter and cheer, but Dan's mind is elsewhere. Little does he know a far more serious interruption is about to unfold. Suddenly, soldiers from the future step through a portal right onto the field. The world stops. The soldiers, armed and tense, warn humanity of an extinction-level threat. In 2051, the world is on the brink of collapse due to an alien species, the white spikes. Humanity's last hope lies in a desperate military effort, but the soldiers' grim report is chilling. Fewer than 20% return from the future war. A year passes, and humanity is losing hope. The draft continues and a growing anti-war movement rises. People are torn between survival and resistance. Families are shattered as millions are forcibly recruited. Dan receives his draft notice. The weight of it hits hard. His wife Emmy, a therapist helping returning soldiers, is overwhelmed by the horror stories. Only 30% of soldiers come back, and those who do are broken. They talk about the monsters and the unsettling clicking sounds that haunt their every step. Emmy begs Dan to reach out to his estranged father, James, for help. But Dan has no desire to reconnect with James, feeling abandoned by him in the past. Still, desperate times call for desperate measures. Dan, conflicted, reaches out to his father, but even James can't help him. A tracker on Dan is synced to his pulse, making escape impossible. Dan is thrust into training with other draftees, facing the reality of what's to come. Among the recruits is Charlie, an anxious yet optimistic man who tries to lighten the mood. Then there's Dorian, a battle-hardened soldier with terminal cancer. He's been drafted for his third mission and is determined to fight to the end. Together, they endure grueling drills and prepare for the war ahead. The military briefing reveals the terrifying logistics of their mission. Time travel is still in its infancy, with the jump link only allowing travel between two fixed points in time. It's messy and imperfect, meaning the soldiers can't jump back to earlier parts of the war. They're stuck in the ongoing battle. The white spikes retreat to their nests every 6 days, leaving a small window for the soldiers to strike. Dan's crew is tasked with protecting the last known lab studying the white spikes. If the lab is lost, humanity's chance of survival is gone. The draftees are dropped into the heart of Miami Beach, but things quickly go wrong. The jump link malfunctioned, dropping them high above the city. Most soldiers plummet to their deaths, but a few land in rooftop pools, miraculously surviving. Chaos erupts as white spikes appear from the ruins, their alien shrieks echoing through the destroyed city. Amid the mayhem, Colonel Forrester, a seasoned leader, takes charge. She orders the remaining soldiers to rescue scientists in a nearby lab. But when they arrive, the lab is empty, with only the gruesome remnants of the team left behind. Their research data is all that remains. Dan radios to command, reporting their findings, but the situation quickly deteriorates. The white spikes attack, killing many of the soldiers inside the building. Only a handful of survivors, including Dan and Charlie, manage to escape. The survivors awaken in a military encampment in the Dominican Republic. They're battered, traumatized, and deeply shaken by the horrors they've witnessed. Dan is called to meet with Colonel Forrester, who has a shocking revelation. The woman standing before him is his daughter Maury, now grown and a hardened military officer. Time and war have shaped her into someone unrecognizable. Maury tells Dan that the situation is dire. Humanity has only weeks to live, and she needs him to help capture a rare female white spike. This particular creature holds the key to saving humanity. Maury explains that her team developed a toxin that kills the males, but the females are resistant. To make things worse, The white spikes appeared without warning, evading all satellites. They attacked Russia first, and their invasion began from there. Dan and Maury prepare for the dangerous mission ahead. They gather a team of elite soldiers and fly into enemy territory. The goal is simple: capture a female white spike alive. But things go wrong almost immediately. The team fights their way through a violent jungle landscape, filled with the scent of decay. They encounter hostile forces, both alien and human, in the ruins. After a hard-fought battle, they manage to cage the female white spike. But as they try to transport her, a storm of rage erupts. Hundreds of male white spikes descend on their position, overwhelming the soldiers. The battle is fierce and relentless. The helicopter lifts the cage, and Dan and Maury make their escape. They're barely alive when they reach the beach and call for rescue. Dan and Maury are whisked away to a fortified oil rig in the middle of the ocean. It's the only place left where humanity still stands a chance. They work day and night to perfect the toxin that will kill the female white spike. Time is running out, and every moment feels like a lifetime. The base is under constant threat as the white spikes close in. Tensions are high, and the pressure mounts. Finally, the team manages to create the antidote that could end the war. But as they celebrate their success, disaster strikes. The white spikes breach the base, attacking from all sides. The female breaks free from her cage and strikes down Colonel Forrester with a deadly spike. She falls from the gantry, and Dan dives after her, unwilling to let her go. But just as the battle reaches its peak, the jump link activates, pulling Dan back to 2022. Dan finds himself back in the present, holding the key to humanity's survival. But the world he returns to is unrecognizable. The jump link has been destroyed, and the future is lost. Chaos erupts as governments fall, and rioting sweeps the globe. People panic as the news spreads. The war is over, and humanity has lost. Dan feels the weight of failure pressing down on him. But as he's brainstorming with Emmy, a realization hits him. The white spikes didn't arrive in 2048 as the record suggested. They've been on Earth for much longer, trapped under the ice caps. The thawing process caused by global warming awakened them. Their first location was near northern Russia. Dan becomes obsessed with this new theory, convinced it's the key to saving the world. The government, however, refuses to help. Russia has closed its borders, and the world is in utter turmoil. Desperate, Dan teams up with Dorian and Charlie. They enlist James, Dan's estranged father, who is well-versed in covert operations. Together, they prepare for a dangerous journey into Russia, hoping to find the answers buried beneath the ice. Lieutenant Hart, who knows Colonel Forrester, joins the team. The mission is risky, but Dan is determined to prove his theory. The team sneaks into Russia, evading authorities and enemy forces. They locate the crash site of an alien ship, buried deep within an ice cap. The discovery sends a chill down their spines. The ship isn't the White Spikes, but a vessel that carried them as cargo. The team begins their investigation, carefully exploring the alien ship. Inside, they find dormant White Spikes, frozen and waiting to be awakened. With no time to waste, they inject the creatures with the toxin they developed. The creatures are instantly killed, but the remaining White Spikes are awakened in a frenzy. The team realizes they've stirred up a hornet's nest. The dormant aliens they found were just a small fraction of the full invasion force. Desperate, they decide to detonate the ship to ensure it never becomes a threat again. Explosions tear through the icy cavern, killing many of the creatures. But one female White Spike manages to escape, sprinting into the blizzard outside. Dan and his father, James, set off in pursuit of the escaping female White Spike. The snow is relentless, and the terrain treacherous. The hunt takes them through icy wastelands, with no sign of the creature, but their resolve doesn't waver. The bond between father and son grows stronger as they fight side by side. The chase culminates in a brutal battle in the snow, with the female White Spike pushing them to their limits. They fight fiercely, knowing this is their only chance to end the war. With one final decisive strike, They kill the creature, preventing the future war from ever happening. With the female white spike dead, the world's future is altered. Dan and his father share a moment of quiet victory. They've changed history, saved millions of lives, and healed old wounds in the process. Dan returns home to his wife, Emmy, and daughter Maury, knowing their future is now safe. The world will never know the war that almost destroyed it. The legacy of the white spikes will remain buried, and humanity has a second chance to rebuild.